One thing that we know will not move is the beginning of the college sports season.
The season ends in May. They need to be on air in August.
That is set in stone. We cannot miss this.
We are building out a 2110-based network.
The second largest 2110 plant on the West Coast.
And we're moving an entire facility from one side of the bay to the other.
Some integrators would not take on this challenge.
You're not going to make it.
This is a project that almost no one could do.
We've never missed an air deadline in 26 years, ever.
Just going to make it happen.
It's live television. There is no not being ready.
There are a lot of pieces that need to fall into place.
Every part that we would normally run kind of in serial phase has to run in parallel.
We didn't get white space to just work on this project. The season was happening. Our team was continuing to operate.
Everything was like trying to do a ballet and choreograph it in real time.
When you're dealing with new technology, the most experienced, dedicated, passionate engineers still don't always know exactly what's going to happen. We were all sitting in the room watching the AD count down from 10.
9, 8.
We all sort of looked at each other.
You're on air.
Okay, I think we did it.
ASG has been a great partner in terms of leadership, technical direction, determination, and collaboration.
It's all about making the content.
We're storytellers, and good storytelling is built upon strong infrastructure.
If we can't help people do that, what's the point?
So we've been talking all day about 2110, its difficulties, its challenges, AI, integration of all of these various things. And so I guess it's almost 2 years ago, we decided to take on a project. We were offered to design and implement an entire 2110 replacement facility for the Pac-12 in 364 days, from the beginning of the clock to the day it had to be on the air. And it was, let's just say, a nail biter. But it really was a fascinating choreography of vendors, engineers, construction. Everything had to run in parallel all the time. Steve Young led the engineering group that pulled all this off, and it was pretty amazing, and certainly one of the most amazing projects I've ever done. So Steve, take us through it.
Thanks, Dave. Great video, by the way. First time seeing that. I had a few less gray hairs on that video than I do now. So Pac-12. Just today, a presentation that's more based around the theme of the day and case study for corporate video and what can corporate video teams learn about 2110 implementation based on the speed that we implemented at Pac-12. So our client, Pac-12, American College Football Network, which they were located in San Francisco at the time we took on the project, and our project was to move them to San Ramon across the bay, to the East Bay. And they produce approximately 850 live events per year, college sports events at over 100 venues. They have a hub and spoke model, which they pioneered for college sports. And one of the unique things about their network is that they have high bandwidth connections directly to all of the campuses. So they've really pioneered the REMI model for college sports. Next. Scope of the project is about a 42,000 square foot facility in San Ramon that we designed and integrated. It was an existing building in Bishop Ranch, but the TI construction was all new, completely gutted the space and built in the studios, which consisted of 5 video control rooms, 5 audio control rooms, 4 software-defined control rooms, a studio for their live shots, graphics bullpen, replay, transmission operation center, and a CER, which consisted of approximately 55 racks. Next. So Pac-12 had objectives for us when we joined on. They wanted to move their operations. Their facility in San Francisco was 10 years old, and so their equipment was aging, and they wanted to accomplish the move and turn up this new facility for the season starting August 2023. So that gave us about a year from design discovery through design and build. They wanted the system at the new facility to use proven technologies. It was going to be the purpose was to streamline their operations, increase reliability, efficient, and the future adaptability of the systems. So why 2110? They thought it was transformative, enabling an IT infrastructure since they were already based around a REMI operation. 2110 was the only solution that made sense for them. The network architecture was more flexible, and adaptability and scalability was really key for them because, as we know now, their content agreements were ending and transitioning at the end of 2023, so they needed adaptability to go to the next iteration of their network. And fiber infrastructure, less cabling, was another factor of why 2110. Some of the challenges we faced, I think primarily the supply chain. We were just coming out of the pandemic, and for example, network switches were on a 14-month lead time. So that really presented a major challenge on the project. The compressed schedule for 2110 configuration and fax out was another factor. They weren't turning down their network in San Francisco until May timeframe, and we were due to start rehearsals in July in Bishop Ranch. So more compressed than what we had originally planned. Training was another challenge, I think. Although Pac-12 had an IT savvy engineering team, because of their REMI and their software-defined workflows, I think they were more IT experienced than most broadcast teams. But in the short time frame, we were still challenged with having to train the engineering staff, broadcast engineers, and IT. And the recent adoptions of NMOS, I think the ISO 4 and ISO 5 had been released in that time frame, but the vendors were still adopting and were on their first releases to support NMOS. Next. So how do we achieve success? Extraordinary teamwork really, I think, was the first thing. I think our engineering team, along with project management and management teams as well, partnership with vendors, with our customer. I just think across the board, teamwork is really what got us there. Imagine was a fantastic partner in the sense that you'll see a couple of bullets down that we, or one bullet down, we did a fast track pre-commissioning lab over in San Francisco. And because of the supply chain issues, we were having to actually use borrowed equipment from the vendors, including Imagine, Arista, Telestream, who supported the effort in order for us to mitigate some of the risk of having to commission the system in such a short time frame. The other thing that helped us was training. We made sure that we partnered with our client to get not only SMPTE training early, but Arista training, and not only the training in advance, but practical training, because we felt that just the theoretical training wasn't enough to get them through the transition to a 2110 core system. So we had them we had the Pac-12 engineering team actually shadow us during our configuration and our commissioning, which was just an invaluable experience, I think, for their team and a lesson learned for us for how to properly launch 2110 with a client who felt confident in the transition. So this is their main studio, as I mentioned, just to run you through a couple of slides of the facility itself. The control room A, where they handled most of their multicam productions and productions in the studio as well. Dreamcatcher stations, part of their replay bullpen. Our CER, which you can see our Selenium SMPs there, and Grass Valley core for production switchers, K-frame. Here's an audio room with CalRec. I know it's impossible to see with this resolution, but this is the network architecture. It was fully redundant PTP system with 2 GPS antennas running into a full green and blue implementation with Arista and MCS integration with Imagine, which helps to manage the bandwidth of flows. Takeaways. 2110 is a mature standard, and we were able to implement in this round much more rapidly than we had in previous implementations, thanks to NMOS, and also thanks to not only NMOS, but the vendors' implementation of NMOS in their products, which helped us to, we had flows going on the network within the first couple of days of installation, and then the fax out just only over approximately 6 weeks before going into rehearsals.
Hey, Steve.
It's elusive.
How many fiber cables were in this?
Approximately 4,500.
Small infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, it was a major fiber infrastructure that was, although large, smaller than it would have been if it was SDI plant, for sure. About half the size.
Was there anything special in how you guys handled the cable management because there was so much cable?
I think, yes, there was a lot special about it. I think from the design of the cable management to the, we used a fiber termination cabinet, which allowed us to have trays for all of the breakouts that are very well organized and addressable, and also easy to modify.
Questions? Anybody still awake? It's been a long day. Oh, Pete.
So, what is, we talked a bit about this, but I'd love to hear your side of things. What is Pac-12 going to do with the current state of the union?
Well, they still have games to produce this year. It's coming up.
Yeah, sure. They're under contract for 2 more years with the existing schools owning it, and they're taking on outside clients, of which they have at least 1 for this season. But their plan is to keep it going. We hope they will. It's a beautiful place.
Different schools of thought on the. I saw the row on the in the terminal here of the gateways that you had. Did you guys have a discussion or make a decision to put jack fields around those? I see sometimes it's left, sometimes it's not.
There are jack fields, yeah.
The question, so everybody knows, was were the SNPs where we're encapsulating and de-encapsulating to SDI for legacy stuff, did we put traditional patch bays around them? And the answer was yes.
It's a hybrid facility. All the cameras that came over were SDI, and so we had gateways as well as gateways to things like, for monitoring, et cetera. So half of the gateways all the critical gateways were in SMPs, and monitoring gateways, unless they were really time critical, were Riedel.
So in the event, just like what happened with Fox, if you lost heaven forbid, you lost your red and your blue network, you could still basically use old-fashioned patching to get some signals.
If you lost red and blue, it would be difficult.
Yeah, he said it best. Gentleman from Apple, it's a bad day.
Yes.
Follow-up question then. So obviously much has changed even since you finished in the industry as things have developed. Is there a part of the industry that you saw during this build or today that still seems like it's catching up to 2110? I'm thinking of different components like graphics and cameras and captions and timing and other things. Is there still a component within the industry that you think is still not as mature as it should be?
I think as we were building, one of the things we experienced was the ISO 4, ISO 5 implementation into some of the gear was new. So that required some patching, software patching, firmware patching for us to get fully operational. I think we're probably past that phase now. I would say what could be better? Tools. I think things for monitoring status, for managing the network, more consolidated tools for maintaining the health of the system, early warning signs, that kind of thing, trouble alerts. I think that's an area that is ripe for development.
Like our friends from Inside who were on the panel earlier today. That's the kind of stuff they're working on.